So today is the first time I have a guest coming to my podcast, and we would like to interview all different energy type in human design, and also curious about their story using their special type and special strategies, how they successfully manage their life and business. And today we have family dynamic coach, Sasha Clark, and she's gracefully to accept as the first guest. So let Sasha say hi to everybody.
Hi, I'm very honored to be here. I feel actually very grateful that you asked me, and I hope that you have many more fun conversations after this one. What a great idea.
Yeah, all right, that's just a lot of fun because everybody's different. We have our, childhood experience, and we have different energy type. And also the programming and conditioning depends on where we go. Like me, I'm from the East, and then I program in the East when I growing up, but then I moved to West. I have to reprogram myself to adapt to that environment. So we're constant doing those kind of things, right?
Right.
But sometimes we are not aware we're doing it until maybe we slow down our lifestyle and get more space and pauses, and then we start to see ourselves differently. So Sasha, would you like to share with us about your type and maybe your family type and how you manage your family dynamic?
Yeah, that'd be great. I am a 6'2" mental projector. So that just basically means I'm pretty much a role model kind of energy throughout my life. And the line sixes go through three distinct stages of their life. And my husband's also a 6'2", but he's a generator. And so it's interesting that we both basically, we got married when we were in our early 30s. And so we had really settled that first part of our life down, and then we got married. And the second season of our life, we have been really homebodies together. We have 4 children. We have an older daughter who is 25, so she's out of the house. And then we have an 11-year-old son. They're both generators. She's an emotionally defined generator. My first son is a pure generator, so he's just sacral defined. And then my second son, third child, is an emotionally defined generator. And then my baby, who's actually 5 now, so he's not really a baby anymore, but he is an emotional projector. And so so when you talk about conditioning, I think some people are like trying really hard not to be conditioned by people. And in my family environment, it's just like it's kind of just the normal weather here is that I have to just make space as a projector in my day to just be alone in my own aura. And teaching my youngest to spend some time by himself occasionally has also been challenging because there's a 4.5-year age difference between him and his older brother. He just tries really hard to keep up with those 2 generators all day long, and it's exhausting for him. And so what I do a lot of times is I will I don't know if you can see my space very well, but like there's a kind of an entertainment area over here. My generator boys will sit over there and play video games, and he has a desk right next to mine. And so I'll be like, do you want to come over here and work with me? Because it's more than 6 feet away. It gives them a chance to kind of diffuse some of that sacral energy, so it's not driving him so hard. Lucky for him, he has a defined root, so he doesn't have that pressure to finish things to get it off his plate like I do, but he does. It's really hard. It's really been an interesting experience for me to try to teach my children about their design, in language that they can understand. And I hear that complaint a lot from parents I work with, that like it's hard enough for them to get used to their own design and learn their own strategy and authority, and learning to be more patient with and wait for something to respond to. I mean, even manifestors have to wait for something. They're waiting for that internal like divine timing, right?
Yes.
And so just learning to wait, I think takes a lot of work for some people, and learning to, work with their solar plexus wave or whatever they're learning about. And then they're like, but then to like translate that to one of my children whose design is way different than mine, I just have a hard time like conceptualizing that and carrying the information I'm learning about myself over into now from a new perspective. And so I'm really adept at being able to put myself in other people's shoes. And again, I assume that's because I have so many open, undefined centers in my body graph. I also used to do counseling before in another, feels like a whole lifetime ago. And so I love to hear people's stories. It helps me to kind of empathically like try to walk a mile in their shoes and try to imagine what their experience through their eyes is like. And then that's when I come in and say, let's try to look at this from a couple different angles, and see what else is also true. Because your truth is true, and the way you experienced it is also true. But it's also possible if we look at it from across the street or up above or, whatever, from the child's perspective, it can look very different depending on which angle we're looking at it from. And so that's really the magic sauce I bring to my family and to my clients, is just like, let's just brainstorm some different ways of looking at this and see what else is true. And then, we always go back to their authority and go, what does that resonate with you, and follow what their internal authority is saying is the next right step. So, but yeah, you're right. Guiding generators, I got, has been basically a skill I've mastered in my own home. Because I'm surrounded by them.
Yeah. So I need to kind of just highlight, Sasha just shared. She has this insights about others' feeling, others' energy, because that's projected too. They are very intuitive. That's one of their strengths. And also they are more because they need the energy from generators. So a generator actually doing things based on her direction. So if she doesn't give out the direction, family member around them, they are generator, which is kind of just like doing whatever, and they waste a lot of energy to run different angle and everywhere. So the projectors really just give the generator or the manufacturing generator more of the direction, and they are like herding the sheep, go to the right place, not like it's dispersed to everybody. But because that sometimes the downside I learned, and one of my sons in projector too, and will be burning out because they believe they're just like generator, have to do stuff. But projector really don't have the build or the mental energy to really do too much. They can do something, but they're easy to become burnout and, just go too much because when the generator is gone, then you don't have a way to sustainable rebuild your energy. So you need a generator around you to keep that going. So I wonder, is that something you experience when you are building your business because you are a projector?
Yeah, definitely. So, and really, again, like I said, like I told you before we got on camera, I don't really believe that projectors are meant to guide and manage people, although some of us do. Definitely a coaching process is guiding a person, but I really see it more as guiding energy. And everyone has energy. Either they're producing it in their sacral, or it's flowing through them because they have open centers, or they're not. I mean, like it can be so confusing if you have an open solar plexus like I do. For the longest time, I thought all of these waves of emotion that were happening in my house were mine. And it was so freeing to find out they actually aren't mine most of the time. And I can choose to engage with it or not. And a lot of times I've found through my experience with playing with that energy and managing that energy is that the people in my life, well, like I told you, I have four generators. Of the four of them, three of them are emotionally defined. And then my projector baby is also emotionally defined. And so I do get a lot. I sometimes feel like a boat in the ocean, and there's all these different crashing waves. And then sometimes they crash against each other and I'm like, whoa, and so I've chosen to not assign the meaning of overwhelm to that, and instead go, wow, I'm going to become this master surfer on all these waves. And I'm just going to learn to not get attached to them because they're not mine. And so I just posted on my Instagram and sent out an email about like the holidays are coming up in the United States, and there's holidays usually come with a lot of change in schedules. Maybe we eat at different times because of parties and gatherings, and maybe our sleep schedule changes. I know my children are already preparing for the 4th of July fireworks by staying up just a little later and sleeping in a little later in the morning so that it's not too much of a crash to their systems. And especially my projector, because he needs a lot of rest. And anyway, but when you change sleep habits and when you change eating habits, that makes it harder for children to regulate their own emotions. And then they're also disconnecting from their parents a little more. My kids will be, because they'll be playing with other kids and not in my aura, helping regulate themselves as much. And so I'm just preparing myself mentally for the fact that there will probably be some big waves of emotion this weekend. And so I thought, I wonder if other parents might want to know that too. And so I've trained myself to use this visualization that I'm like the sand on a beach and that the wave is not attached to me. I mean, sand doesn't really absorb. It quickly absorbs, but also quickly releases the water off of the wave.
Yes.
And so that's what I imagine myself doing when one of my children come into my aura with a big feeling. I just see myself as that sand and let them just crash their wave on me, because it will mute it down if I don't react to it. I have found if I try to stop it or fix it, it just gets louder and bigger. So
yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's how the energy really create, because that's paradoxical. Sometimes we say we don't want it, we push it away, but energy is different, because there is like, it's just a force. When you push it, they need to balance, so they'll push it back. Otherwise, they cannot balance that dynamic. So when we choose to do that, guess what? We got more of the resistance.
And that's so exhausting, right? That whenever we're in resistance, because I know you're really a master at talking about like reducing the resistance of our own life and working with our own energies so that we can have more satisfaction, more joy, right? Resistance is just that. It's like, it's like if you think about electricity, when you have a resistor, it takes a lot of work to slow the energy signal through there, right? The electric signal through the resistor. And that's what it happens when we act as that resistor to energy, is that we have to put up a ton of energy to fight it. And then we get, as a projector, then I would get bitter about just being so tired. And I'm not actually upset with my children. I'm just tired, the learning to cooperate with my own need cycle of rest has been a huge game changer in our family. Huge.
Yes. So I just so fascinated about your awareness about all the things.
Thank you.
It just we all have this opportunity to observe ourselves, but maybe we just get too busy. Maybe we just focus on the negativity, so we focus on dealing the resistance other than just to find out what's the flow of life. And I think you are being the critical work to help other parents to raise their kids like consciously and observe their behavior and make sure giving more space. And being a parent also just need to be kind of more grounded. When they come in, let them come. Then they come and they go on to play. And sometimes being the parent just continue to worry about, they feel that way, but they're okay. They actually don't care anything anymore, but it's still kind of like holding down in your heart, right? So I think that's so amazing. You're joining our community, hoping we can continue to have a conversation and invite other type of energy and understand we are not here to really feeling all this bitterness and dissatisfied and all this anger. It's just because the conditions we are not aware. Because like conditions, not only just people just try to program you, but in the sound wave, you have this 4 seasons and everything is energy.
Right.
It will have some impact, influence on our energy flow on the daily basis, or even like momentary basis. Somebody, if I go shopping and someone really have an anger, I can feel that anger when I'm getting close to that person.
Yeah.
So we need to know the conditioning is not something like somebody try to just program you and go to let you to sleep. No, it's happening every time with everything around us.
Yeah, I don't think conditioning is the necessary evil that we've made it out to be, but I don't know. I'm kind of a Netflix person. I don't know if you've ever seen that series called White Collar. It's a series about this white collar criminal who basically gets a pass out of prison in order to help the FBI catch other counterfeits. And one of the things he teaches the investigator that he's working with is that the best way to tell the difference between a counterfeit and a real, $100 bill, for example, is to study the original enough that you can see the subtle difference right away. And so I think that's the beauty of Gene Keys and human design, is that the more I study what is natural energy for me, and the more I study what is natural energy for one of my children, I'm much quicker to recognize when one of us is acting in our not self. And then I can just choose a different reaction to that. I don't have to put the same weight on all of the data that I'm getting from my family members, my husband especially, because I have to talk about this because so many people like I'm super into human design, but my husband's like, ooh, that's kind of weird. I don't want to talk about that too much. My husband has learned so much about human design just from me reacting a little differently to his design but he still is like, I don't know why you have to know all that. And I'm like, well, you don't have to know all that because I do. But he's like, it doesn't matter to me which gate did that. What I really need to know is how to deal with it differently. And I do hear that a lot from other parents too, that he's like, I'd love the guidance about what to do differently, but I don't necessarily need to memorize the whole chart. So my encouragement to most people would be, though, like, do really study your own chart. Do really get familiar with your own energy, because that's your surefire defense against conditioning, because you will be able to tell. Like I have an open root, for example. And so when my kids are pressuring me to make a quick decision, I already know, because I have to make a decision quickly, in their opinion, that I'm getting root pressure from them. And so I will physically just like step back a little bit and break the aura connection so that I'm not being conditioned, and I can use my own thought process. I don't have to, when it's a decision for them, I can use my mind because my mind's there for them. But if it's a decision that's about me, I have to use my strategy and authority. And I can't do that when I'm right inside their aura, because I can't control the fact that I absorb energy. That's what projectors do.
Because
So
you project your opinion so much, you don't have a way to really connect with your own.
So I've kind of given up. Like, some people are on a mission to decondition, and I think that's wise. I think it's wise to decondition as much as you can. But I also think some of it, like you said, if you're out in the sunshine, the seasons change. There's not much you can really do about neutrino weather, right? The sun activating different gates every week. So I'm just like, I think the better answer is to really know what is mine and what's not, and just stick to, that's the stuff I can control, is what's my energy and what I'm responsible for inside my own hoop. And then if something comes into my awareness that isn't mine, I'll recognize it, because I'm very familiar with what is mine.
That is the wisdom Sasha left before she take it out, because this is really, it's a self-awareness, not because to pinpoint like what's wrong with me, other than to understand, if a certain situation might behave differently, and you just start to observe our own behaviors. Then we can see our patterns, through observation, not through reacting. Because when we're reacting, we only focus on that, how to turn that energy around. But when you observe, you see the whole picture easier, because you can see, oh, I do this when someone say that. But that's someone not really just a bad person. It's just when your energy is not really resonate for something, or even to trigger you to think differently. But that, for me as a habit coach, is a given, it's a blessing, because when someone give me something I feel triggered, that give me the sign. Say, what is something I still hold on, so we have the strong resistance, because it must have something in my energy field to block it. So if I'm totally in peace and easy, I have fun, I allow everything to happen. I invite them to go in through. But when I feel the trigger or resistance, that is the sign. I need to find that place, then let it go. So
is that triggering me so much? That's brilliant. I love it.
So I'm so happy we have this first interview done. So I'm going to do, once I post it in and now, I will invite people, maybe have a conversation with you. So the best time or best way to connect with you, do you want to suggest us how to?
Oh, sure. Yeah, my website is www.sashaclark.com. That's really the best way, to set an appointment. I'm on Instagram at Sasha1. I'm also on Facebook. Obviously, that's how we connected. And I would be happy to send all the different links to you so that you can share them. I really appreciate that. I do have a podcast too on Spotify called Human Design for Parents and Kids. There's only a few episodes on there so far, but I have recorded quite a few in the last week, so I'll be posting more soon. And I'm just on a mission to really help people enjoy their family lives but more. And it, like you said, it's really just a matter of getting familiar with each other's energy. And it's really, for me, it's helped me walk in more understanding and tolerance towards the other humans I live with. And, even if people aren't parents, it's useful with your own parents or with your siblings or with your coworkers, or your friends, if they're willing to let you pull their charts. It's just knowing myself better has helped me be a better friend to other people and more